start your day? No. Come on.
So first off, welcome back. I am Nina Rodriguez, and Misfit to Teach is my channel where I talk about all things teaching and how we can generally stay emotionally, mentally, and physically fit to teach. So if I've never met you before, please do me the honor of hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you and I can come together every week. So it's 2021, soon to be 2022, and teaching in the inner city has very much become its own bubble, as if it wasn't already. So, here's how things have been going since the pandemic and how this new era in teaching has really had an effect and transformed what it is to be a teacher in the inner city. So the pandemic, and excuse me, my hair is driving me crazy. And these days, like with being in my classroom, I've just completely given up on really trying to do my hair, and I just kind of put it in a bun on the top of my head and let it go. But anyway, there. I hope that's okay. Um, anyway, I think this year, like with the pandemic and surviving 2020, there's this resurgence in the importance of one's individual health and wellness. So I know for me, and for a lot of teachers, this has caused us to really have to prioritize our own health and well-being, and what that can look like for a lot of people. But definitely for me is this insistence on being able to get into a gym or have workout time at home, and then coupling that with eating well. So it's been a lot of getting into the gym, or at least dedicating an hour and a half of solid workout time 4 times a week, to weight training, and also about 10 minutes twice a week of high intensity interval training. Of course, too, I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting some stretching in, as well as time to I'll do a little bit of meditation to really clear my mental space. So there seems to be this really trendy word that's going around the education sphere, this like emphasis on self-care. And it's tough because I feel like not enough is actually being done to alleviate a teacher's workload so that there is that time for self-care. So I think right now, when it comes to trying to protect our own health while trying to be available to the students who have come back into the school building full force, there's a balance that is constantly being interrupted, and it's very difficult for teachers to find the time or even the energy at some point in the day to fit in a decent workout, to expend any type of energy other than like the necessary things that you have to do during a day. And there's just so much, and that's really what we're seeing in inner city. There is so much that has to get done and that has to be made up for and accounted for, that the motivation is really difficult this year. So if you have like an established exercise regimen this year, what is it? Please let us know. Let me know for sure. Definitely share that, because I have found nobody has really struck a balance very well, and the answer seems pretty elusive, I think. Every year, I try to adopt a quote from a noteworthy person that sort of becomes my driving theme, my inner inspiration for what I want that year to look like. And over the years, it's taken a lot of different forms. I feel like I've done an overall good job of choosing uplifting statements that I and my students can sort of live by while we're together. But this year, I think there's been a heightened element of relevancy. The idea of introducing and discussing and being challenged on ideas that don't just apply to bygone times, but also things that are relevant to the here and now and stuff that applies to my students' existence now. So I've wrapped the classroom in a phrase, a quote that I saw somewhere on Instagram that I really, really liked. And even if nobody reads it, if nobody else reads it except me on a day-to-day basis, I think it helps to establish a theme that feeds into the rest of my classroom and what we do in here. So it is fourth period, and this is my planning. I have a little bit of time to eat something before the kids come in and just kind of decompress for a little bit, grade some papers too, because as a general rule this year also, I don't take anything home. I don't do lesson plans at home. I don't grade papers at home. I don't answer emails at home. Everything is done at this point on the clock, and if it doesn't get done by say around 4 p.m., then it simply has to go roll over to the next day. And I'm unapologetic about that. I'm finding that a lot of teachers are complaining about the workload. We're very much having to deal with severe time constraints, and the job tends to, even in the best of circumstances, the job tends to bleed into other areas of our lives, including family time and personal, and that just can't happen anymore. With the pandemic ripping into families the way it has, that we have to, as educators, really be fierce about differentiating between what is the work time and then what is the personal time for everything else. So I'm going to grade some papers and get some things done before my honors class comes in, and then we will begin again with the second half of the day.
Let's go, let's go.
Bob, come on. Watch, next time I'm getting taught about the school on here.
All right, we'll see. Off you go.
I gotta go to band class.
Band is super fun.
No, I think I got in trouble yesterday.
Oh, this is for the SCA. Okay. Off you go. Alrighty. So as I was saying,
Okay. Done. So it is day 2 of the week, and we are continuing in a lesson that we began yesterday. I'm an English teacher, for those who don't know, and so writing and reading, speaking, those things are my life, and I try to teach it and express the importance of my inner city kids being able to do those things well. So we're looking at a lot of the ins and outs of a sentence, pretty much all those boring things that you learned in school that we all hated and we fell asleep because we worked strictly out of a textbook, and we secretly wish that we didn't have to take English class anymore. Yeah, that's what I teach now. This is my life. Welcome. So we're working on sentence structure, especially like with commas, and I find that with inner city kids, you really don't want to build very quickly. I spend several days on any given topic, allowing them to work, like do different exercises and different forms of practice with the same topic over the course of several days. And you don't want to move really quickly with this type of population, especially given how transient they tend to be. coupled with the transient nature of inner city kids, like, they're here in your class for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden the family moved away and you never see them again, or some come to you in the middle of a random November, and they don't know how long they're going to be here. Coupled with that fact is also the realization that we're still in the pandemic, and unfortunately I do have see students in the building that have been gone for several days at a time, and I'm experiencing that in my classroom as well. So because that's the situation, it's really not a good idea, probably with any school, but definitely not with inner city, to move through your topics really quickly. So we're doing a lot of spiraling back to previous topics, or building layers and slowly, like, I guess, scaffolding the lessons, and always revisiting the fundamentals as we move on to the next layer of whatever it is we're working on. So we'll continue with that today, and then probably as we look at finishing out the week, I'll segue into what's going to happen next week. Just so that they know what to expect. Because another thing with inner city is knowing what to expect helps to ease the anxiety and take some of the pressure off of learning. Okay, well, it is the end of the day, and today was good, but some of my kids were definitely high energy, a little bit more so than normal, and I did have to manage a few behaviors. I ended up writing a low level referral. A low level referral is just like level 1 on the disciplinary spectrum. And it wasn't like necessarily even anything, like, certainly not anything over the top, nothing that I haven't already seen. I think it's just, it goes back to how the pandemic has affected human behavior, and how badly kids are craving normalcy, and to be close, and to be, I guess, touching each other and play fighting with each other. And they really, it's just that impulsivity. They lose themselves in the moment. So I did end up having to do a low level referral on one of those, like, keep your hands to yourself kind of situations, where, like, the impulsivity was getting the best of the situation. And you never want to have to be the bad guy in your class, especially when you're a teacher that has a really good rapport with your students. But at the same time, you also have to remember that you're there not so much to be a friend, but to be a life coach, to affect positive change, and to establish and maintain structure and predictability and order in a space where there otherwise would be none. So I wrote a low level, and hopefully, we won't have to revisit that issue again, and it should be just fine. Looking on to tomorrow, though, everybody starts with a clean slate, and I am going to really take some time this evening to regroup and kind of use what I learned today in terms of, like, what the kids know about our subject matter, to reconfigure some things that we're going to do tomorrow. And I am going to try to squeeze in a run for like 20 to 30 minutes just to clear my head, because again, self-care is the name of the game this year. But if this video has helped you at all, again, thank you so much for watching. Please do me the honor of subscribing and hitting the notification bell. And if you know somebody that needs to know that they're not alone in this journey, please consider sharing this video, because we're all in this together. If you have any feedback, any suggestions on what you're doing in your classrooms, or what you're hearing going on in other classrooms, to stay sane and to stay whole, feel free to leave your comments in the comments section, and I look forward to hearing from you. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week. Be well.